Torresy. Amazing at that big of a stage. That's what they said.
Call this meeting to order. Let's take a moment for silent prayer or reflection. Terry, will you call the roll, please?
Kathy Cox.
Here.
Pat Rooney.
Here.
Nicole Cohen.
Here.
John Maston.
Here. Please stand and join me in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Action item 2 is called to the public. Terry, do we have anything?
No, we do not.
Action item 3 is recognition of visitors. Lake Havasu Education Association, if they're here.
She's not here tonight.
She's not here tonight. Okay. Cruising.
Yeah. It's almost over now.
Item 4 is our consent agenda. 4.1 is approval of the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we accept and approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Discussion? Terry? I know we're moving.
Keep up with me. Pat Rooney.
Yes.
Kathy Cox.
Yes.
Nicole Cohen.
Yes.
John Maston.
Yes. Item 5, old business. 5.1 is second presentation and review of revised policy. Superintendent Asaya.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mazza and members of the board. We had gone through this policy in detail at the work session prior to the first reading. This is the second reading. At the last work session, there were some questions about the item GCO, which is evaluation of professional staff members. That starts on page 20 of the packet. We do have, and the board members received some changes that were highlighted. Primarily, the changes are the actual statute for each of the sections that's referenced are noted within each of the sections. However, on page 5 of 6, there is some language inserted that the board did not see before in the white copy that you received with the updates. And in reviewing the statute and reviewing our remaining policies, there is language in the statute that says contracts must be accepted within 15 days of receipt or the offer of a contract is revoked. And we had discovered that that is not stated anywhere in our policies. And so this seemed the logical place to add it. So that language has been added under contracts of certificated employees on page 5. So that is the only change in the policy that has been made since the board members have reviewed this.
I'll entertain a motion on 5.1.
So moved.
Discussion. I'll give you a minute as we're flipping. If there's no discussion, we're ready to vote. Okay, Terry.
Kathy Cox.
Yes.
Nicole Cohen.
Yes.
Pat Rooney.
Yes.
John Maston.
Yes. Item 6.1, approval of district-wide flooring installation. Mr. Murray.
Mr. President, members of the board, it's recommended that the governing board approve a bond project for district-wide flooring with a not-to-exceed amount of $2,750,000. In November 2016, the voters of Lake Havasu City approved a bond measure allowing the Lake Havasu Unified School District to improve, remodel, and/or renovate school facilities. Flooring surfaces in each school and district office facilities have been in need of replacement for a number of years. At minimum, carpeted surfaces show signs of heavy wear, with many of these surfaces posing as trip hazards because of tears, frays, and bubbling due to separation from the foundation beneath. The scope of the project will address the carpeted surface areas for almost all district facilities. Carpet squares were selected to replace our current rolled carpeting surfaces, and carpeted squares will minimize the future cost to repair damaged areas by allowing the targeted replacement of only the squares that were affected. Through the due diligence of the procurement department, Shaw Carpet was determined to provide pricing and installation services that would meet district timelines as well as the advantage of national contract pricing through Sourcewell and JPA. A not-to-exceed price of $2,750,000 is being requested to cover the cost of the carpeted squares, installation, incidentals pertaining to the sealing of concrete foundations where needed, and testing and abatement of materials where needed, etc. A copy of the quotes are provided for each facility, less the district office complex quote. The district office quote will be submitted in the coming weeks, but has been accounted for in the not-to-exceed amount, and this item has been reviewed by purchasing. Also, a note on that we did mention carpet squares. Since this action item was put in place, there will be some areas that will require rolled carpet, specifically in the pack, and the ramps leading both in and out of the pack, as well as the now tiled surface area that's right in front of the pack where the restrooms are in the landing back behind the auditorium. And the reason behind that is due to the sloping, the slope of the pack, and the ramps coming in and out of the pack. There was some question there as to whether the squares would be able to withstand the traffic coming in and out of it on that sloped surface. So it was recommended that we go to a rolled carpet such as what we have in our buildings now in those specific areas because of just the architecture and the way that is structured. So that's, all other areas would be the carpet squares where we currently have carpet.
Same cost?
Same cost.
Mrs. Cox, did you want to do something before we put this on the floor?
Wouldn't it be appropriate for me to do it during the vote rather than?
Well, it's got to be done prior to discussion.
Oh, I can't discuss? Okay. Well, I have to abstain. Or you told Mrs. Fleming that I have to abstain because I wasn't going to tell you, but now that I happen to own stock in the company that owns Shaw, which is Berkshire Hathaway, and it's stamped on every page, and so I have to abstain.
All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve 6.1.
Second.
We have discussion?
I just have a question. So down the line from the last meeting when we had our work session, the idea is eventually in all of the schools, we're going to have this new type of tile put in there, right?
Carpet squares.
Okay, carpet squares, okay. So we're getting rid of all of the, what is that, the linoleum type of tile that's there? Or?
No, that's a good question. To clarify that, where we currently have carpet now will be replaced with carpet squares. So instead of having this rolled carpet like we see in this room here, there'll be individual 24 by 24 inch carpet squares that will go down similar to tile. But then what that allows is for, if there were to be some type of a spill or something in an isolated area, instead of having to replace a big section of carpet, we would be able to isolate and target that removal and installation of the new carpet to take care of that one affected area.
So at the high school, you would be taught.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ring, at the work session you asked a question, though. There is one section at the high school, that a carpeted hallway,
Right.
that would be, it would not be having replacement with carpet tiles, it would be with,
Linoleum.
not linoleum, but with another type of tile.
Okay.
And so that was the sample that was shown at that work session.
Over in C Hall,
In C
where
Hall.
we have carpet down both of those wings.
And the back side of it. Correct. The back side of C Hall, the two hallways and the back hallway.
Huh?
Up by the art rooms.
Okay, up there and down on those wings, that would be similar tile to what we have in there, right, in the rest of the school? Is that right?
It'll be, right now it's carpet in those
Yeah.
big hallways.
Yeah.
The proposal is to go back to a solid surface, like a linoleum vinyl type surface, like is in the other, like in the A building.
Similar to the rest of the school.
Right.
Correct,
It won't match
but much more updated. It won't be
Okay.
that white old linoleum that we have
Okay.
in the rest of the school.
Okay, I just, because I was gonna say, if you all of a sudden go to this there, and the rest of the school is gonna look real,
I
it's
believe-
not gonna look real
I
good.
believe your concern in the work session was that building was unlike all of the others. So
Exactly.
we're looking to address the hallways in C
So
Hall.
there'd be some degree of uniformity with the rest of the
Correct.
school.
It won't look like the same product
Okay.
as far as the color. It won't match at all in
Oh.
the other buildings. But to that point, the hallways in C Hall will be addressed later on with those linoleum surfaces. We're only looking to replace carpeted surfaces at this time. So C Hall, those hallways with that bad carpet in there, it's gonna have to stay for a little while longer until we go back and readdress the solid surface linoleum parts of the
Okay, all right,
district.
okay,
This is carpeted only at this particular time.
okay.
Yes.
Does the company provide like a certain percentage of extra squares? Because a lot of times lots change, so matching it can be a problem sometimes.
They do, and in that work session, they pointed that out, that we like, the reason why we're going with one color is so that we can have one color in stock and not have to stock multiple colors to fit different schools. They did allow for overages in their estimate, or at least they always plan for more, and whatever they have in overages we'll be able to keep. Now, if it gets towards the end of the project and the install has been taking more carpet than they thought, then we may have to purchase additional carpet for our own warehouse to keep on hand for future repairs. So we'll just have to see as we get closer to the end of the project.
Okay, thanks.
And that's all part of the thought process in the not to exceed estimate.
Correct. Yeah, and a lot of it's just the unknowns, like I mentioned in the not to exceed. We just don't know until construction begins. If they pull up carpet and they see that there's moisture coming through the foundation in certain areas, they're going to have to seal the concrete before they put down the carpet squares. That could happen in one room, it could happen in 300 rooms. We just don't know until we get there. So rather than come back before the board 4 months from now or whatever it may be and saying we need a little extra money because we didn't account for that, we're hoping that this not to exceed should completely cover that,
Do we know where we're going to start?
the high school. Over Christmas break, they're hoping to have approximately half the high school done over Christmas break. That's the goal.
Is it going to be school to school? Or will there be multiple?
At first it will be because they'll have one crew. They're hoping to have at least another crew later on down the road, so we have multiple crews going, addressing more than one school at one time.
Okay.
That would more than likely happen in the summer.
Okay.
And that the cost also includes taking the other carpet up and getting rid of it?
That's correct. The company will remove all furniture except for technology and put it back into place. Removal and installations all included.
Pam, you had some questions you were asking me today that I didn't have all the information on, like materials and that type of thing. Did you get all that answered?
Well, I found out it's from Georgia.
Okay, so it's U.S.
It's
carpet.
made in the USA.
That's a good place for carpet.
And furniture.
I'm still waiting on Joe's team member to send me a digital photo of it, of the
Okay.
carpet square.
And did you find out what it was made out of?
No, he was kind of operating blind.
My money's still on recycled Coke bottles.
I'll talk to Joe when we start the project up, when it actually begins, and get the details.
I believe we have that sample that was here
Oh,
last
you have
week
it?
in the maintenance office.
Okay,
Well, I'll touch base with you tomorrow and follow
Okay.
up with you on that.
thank you.
Marcia?
Do we know if that product has been used in Arizona at all?
I can't tell you for sure if it has been. I know that they do install throughout the state. So I don't, are you talking about just that specific, not necessarily the color, but the material?
The materials and product itself. I guess I'm just thinking about storage and warehouses and going in there and so you just disintegrate.
We did talk about that as far as did we have to store that in a climate controlled environment, and the answer was no. It just has to be out of the direct sunlight and out of the elements. So as long as it's within, underneath a roof, 4 walls, we're okay. Even with the heat.
And then of course all the pricing and everything includes all the taxes and all of that.
Correct.
Yes.
May be able to offer some assistance on this one. I work for Selberg Associates, and we specify this shock carpet on almost every project that we do. It's a standard for Mohave County and all their buildings, and it's a phenomenal product you guys have done.
Okay. All right. All right. If there's nothing else, I think we're ready to vote.
Nicole Cohen?
Yes.
Pat Rooney?
Yes.
John Maston?
Yes. Item 6.2 is approval of land exchange. Mr. Murray.
Mr. President, members of the board, it's recommended that the governing board is to approve the exchange of land between the Lake Havasu Unified School District Number 1 and Mr. Mayor, and to authorize an appraisal of both properties, the cost of which will be the responsibility of Mr. Mayor. Previous requests were brought before the board in October of 2017 and March of 2018. The Lake Havasu Unified School District Number 1 has received a request for an exchange of the land. The district currently owns parcel listed 108-12-141. And Mr. Mayor, at least at the last known of receiving this information, he still owned 2 different parcels on Swanson. The district may exchange unimproved property where the governing board determines the property is unnecessary for the continued operation of the school district without requesting authorization by a vote of the school district electors. The exchange may be for unimproved or improved property of equal or greater value, or unimproved property that the owner contracts to improve if the value of the property ultimately received by the district is of equal or greater value. The exchange would occur after an appraisal for which Mr. Mayor will be responsible. Now, only if the district's property is of equal or lesser value than the other parcel will the exchange take place, and a resolution for the land exchange must be signed by all board members present at the board meeting at which the land exchange is approved. The resolution will authorize the board president to sign the land exchange agreement, and the resolution will also direct the district to record the deed. Per the resolution, the governing board president will be authorized to sign the deeds at a later date. And we do have Ms. Amber Hoffman here after the board acts here in just a moment to also offer further information for the board at this time.
All right. I will entertain a motion on 6.2.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Let's hear from Mrs. Hoffman first.
Hello again. This time, big smile. I have little packets for you guys. I don't know if they got, okay, did they get passed down? Okay. I'm going to actually be standing in the behalf of Mr. Mayor and for Jim Harris. Jim Harris could not make it. His mom had an issue with the turkey. Don't ask. It's something with Thanksgiving. And then also I have Rob here, who is with one of the architect firm, and I'd like to introduce him really quick so he can kind of help out.
Hi, good evening. Rob Sampson with Selberg Associates.
Okay, so Rob is pretty much our designer on the project that we're going to be representing to you guys. In front of you, we put a packet together. I've done lots and lots of research for you guys, and I've done a lot of meetings in the last month. I did actually come to the school board with Mr. Mayor and sat and talked to a couple of you guys already. And so they brought it to our attention to bring it to the full board, and so hopefully we can make something happen with this. So, to start, I went to ASU and I spoke to a couple people there at ASU who is head of their development area and stuff for the dorm rooms. and for students that are coming in and monitoring of the students and stuff like that. So what I did is, when I spoke to you guys on a little private meeting that we did, I got some information back from the board, and so then I followed up with it, and now here's what we came out with. I did ask ASU. ASU cannot give me anything in writing stating that they're going to be involved with the project because it will be a conflict of interest with their dorm facilities. Also, there's two different entities with it, which is ASU and a financial aid. So in the way that Ronald was mentioning to me, that it's kind of like me asking you guys to go in an agreement of being part of our facility, which in legal terms we cannot do because it's two different facilities. Okay. I did get a lot of facts and a lot of information that I think that this is going to help this project move forward, and I'm hoping this project does move forward. ASU has actually 3 sections for dormitories. Your first section is 34 to 35 rooms, and they're almost at the full capacity. Okay. Your second section has not been remodeled yet, so that's another 34 to 35 dorm units. When they do remodel it, and if they remodel it within the next year, we might have 70 dorm units. Okay, the third section, they mentioned that it needs to be fully redone, the roof needs to be all redone and everything. So they're coming to the discussion in the next 2 years if they're going to actually take it down and then buy out the lot in front of them and of that part that's parallel to Swanson and build the new units up. So after meeting with them and going over all this stuff, they did make they made it very clear to say that this would actually save money in ASU's budget, knowing that there's going to be a unit across the street that's going to have studios, dorms, 1 bedrooms, and 2 bedrooms. So that would help out. As you guys know, I put a little detail stuff in here that when I sat down with the staff members and who I met with, we were coming up with some numbers. Our population's at 55,000. We had the Prop 409 just passing, which is going to make our town expand and grow. So obviously ASU is going to expand and grow. All of our school systems hopefully will expand and grow. Okay. ASU last year had about 420 to 500 applicants. We had 775 students that actually attend out of all those applicants. One issue is because we have nowhere to put these students. So they're going to different sources. So we put an ASU up, but we can't put our students in there. So next year, they're actually projecting about 500 to 600 applicants and about 80 to 90 of them. We did wind up having about 100 students last year that actually graduated, got their diplomas, and moved on. And then it brings in our next section of students. When I sat down with them, there was a lot of things that were benefits to them having this building across the street, which is going to be benefits to everybody. So with ASU, with the policy, this is something that struck me pretty hardcore. When you're a first student and coming into school and you're not a resident of the state, you are required through their policy that you have to stay in their dorm room. So if you take 70 to 75 new students, obviously most of them are going to be new students coming in. Even if you did chop that in half and new dorm rooms, that's one whole section of dorm rooms that are completely gone. And then you have nowhere else to put anybody else. So with that, also putting the other, when you have your second and third and fourth year students, second year you can accommodate them if we have enough room. Third and fourth year, you're going to wing them out because we have no room to put them, because we have no room to bring our first students back in to get in those dorm rooms. So their benefits, and they said yes, this would be a benefit across the street because it's going to put their kids there and they could do a referral out. So I did lots of research, as you can tell. Mayor's project pretty much is what it's going to do. It's going to help transition these kids in and out. It's also going to help with the staff members. It's also going to help the staff members of the ASU. And I've also noticed it's going to help out with our high school students who are turning the 18 and wanting to move out to be on their own. So with that all being said, there were certain remarks that were said when I actually spoke to them. When we look at this, the rent, as you guys know, the rent's high in Havasu, and we're trying to get a place where we can have a decent rent for the students and for the parents. Parents are spending a lot of money putting their kids in college. We want those kids here, so we're trying to help out as much as we can. When I spoke to Ronald and his assistant, there's a couple things that I asked them, and I asked him to make sure if I could put this on record, and he said, absolutely, put this on record. When I asked him if the project will draw new students to ASU, he went on record stating the following: as my personal opinion with the building as a good amenities, it will give options for both students, parents, and that are in the state and out of state, pretty much. And then I also asked him, will it draw more attention to ASU? And he said, yes, the building will be a plus. And then I also asked them, guys, if this is something that's going to happen, what would you want to be put in this building at the bottom level? And the one number thing was a commercial kitchen. Out of everything, he said a commercial kitchen. And or a courtyard or somewhere where students could go and study and where staff can actually do meetings. Those were the main things that stuck out to him and that they thought would be a good thing. So there's a couple little points I wanted to make. This building is not just for ASU students. This building is also for students that are coming out of our high school that's going to move on and put their seat in the ground. Also, this is going to help out with new couples. And then also we're looking to put the staffing in it, and then also helping out teachers and stuff like that that are coming into this town. Okay, so that's the second page that I have for you guys. The last one on this is your building. Okay, and you guys have an actual picture of the building, what we're looking to do, and we did go up to 5 stories high. So this is just examples in the Boston building. These are the examples. This is what we actually started working on. I don't know if you guys can see it. You guys have the picture of this in there. And this is what we're looking to do. This is right across the street from ASU. And underneath, first floor is going to be your commercial buildings. The second floor will be your kind of like studios or so. And your third floor is going to be studios in combination. Fourth floor is a 1-bedroom. And then hopefully the top floor is going to be your 2 bedrooms in there. And there will be a common area, and the commercial up underneath obviously will have some kind of food court or something like that to help out. So this is what we're looking to try doing, and this is why we need the trade of the lot, so that we can get this project going and put this off the ground. Now the nice thing is, this is considered as being the second largest building in Havasu.
Second tallest.
It'll be the second tallest building in Havasu for this one.
That'll thrill everybody.
Yes.
Not.
It'll also help out with the vacancy rate. And then this is just a little bit more of a street view, like you're driving down Swanson in a way. Give you an idea of it. So we went with a little bit different colors because Mayor for some reason likes this gray color that's going on. It must be the trend right now or something. That's what we're looking to put up. So there's a proposal in behind it, which is your last page. There's a couple things that we spoke about. What we would like is to do lot 17 for the trade of equal value with our lot 20, and there's the legal with your parcel numbers on there. Or we came up with another scenario that might be something of interest too. For the lot 17, owned by the school district, Manette Investments Incorporation will credit Lake Havasu City School District $100,000 for the new students and staffing members, which what it's going to do, it'll give you 15% off per month per unit, equaling up to $100,000. This will be a big perk and bonus when you guys are bringing your new staffing members in to Havasu, because they're going to get additional $150 off. I know for a fact, I worked with a lot of the teachers and a couple of the staff members that they can't buy houses here in Havasu yet until they're fully established, unless they're going from one entity to another entity that's equal. So trying to find them a place to stay is another situation too, because our vacancy, we're about 1% of vacancy. So it's hard to put new people in this town. So we kind of just laid it out. Also, you put a value in there too, that if something happens to Mr. Mayor and the project does not move forward and you guys do wind up trading the lot with us, or you wind up doing any of the proposals, that he's gonna credit back to you guys $75,000 cash within the 10 years, if anything ever happens. So, I just want to bring this to your guys' attention. Like I said, we did a lot of work and a lot of research on this, and like I said, we can't say ASU is for it, but we have a lot of personal opinions that are inside of ASU that thinks this is going to be a great thing for us to do. And then I think it's going to be a great thing for you guys too, because it's going to be a put somewhere for your staff and your teachers into it. And I know we spoke about that before to help you guys out. Or if you guys come up with a better proposal to Mr. Mayor, you guys can do it that way too.
So how many units are you talking about?
We have 5 stories and there's 18 units per story. So you're going to have about 90. I'm hoping to get a little bit more if I can have my say in it, which I probably will.
How big are they going to be? Like the studio?
It just all depends. That would be a Mr. Rob question. He can kind of help you out a little bit with that.
Guesstimate?
Yeah, right now we're looking at somewhere around 300 square feet for the studios. And we're setting up the building on a grid system right now that will allow, if you take one grid, it's one studio. And if you take a 1 bedroom, it's 1.5 of the grids. And if you take a 2 bedroom, it's 2 grids. So it'll be somewhere between 300 to 600 square feet.
And so for the studios, like 300, what would be, what kind of rent would you be looking at?
That's where the market's got to play with. So I was playing around a little bit with that too, but by the time we even get this going and up, it's probably not going to be another almost 1.5 to 2 years out. So it just depends where it's at. Right now, our common market, and I think Cal Christian, you could probably help me with this little question, because he's in that area. No. I would tell you about a 2-bedroom that are decent and newer. They're running probably about $900 a month. That's nice. A 1-bedroom's probably about, I would say, $650 to $700, and then and as you get further up, rent goes up higher. So he made an example in here. Say the 2 bedrooms that are brand new is about $1,000 or so. Then we were quoting you guys 15% off the units to help out with the. Any teachers or whoever comes into this.
I was curious more about the 300 square foot.
300 square foot, I would probably, it depends, because there's going to be package deals. What if a student comes in and who's actually in the dorm and they had to get transitioned from that dorm unit into these units? If they come in there, you wouldn't want to put a package deal with them. You want the rent plus the utilities and stuff. You wanted a package deal so parents, it looks good to a parent.
I don't mean any disrespect, but
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that part of it.
Right.
I'm looking at it from.
It'll probably be about $650. I would say
teachers or new staff for our district, not ASU, our district.
Right.
That's why I was
Yeah.
asking.
So if you do a studio, I don't know, it's about $650 to $700 for a studio. And if you do up to the 2 bedrooms, I would say cap of about $1,000 for the 2 bedrooms. So $900 to $1,000, somewhere in there. That's kind of what a duplex is running at, or some of those condo units are running at. Actually, I think those condo units are running about 11, somewhere in there.
What kind of units?
Like some of the condos in town and stuff.
Oh, okay.
They're, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Some of them's got little carports up underneath of them. And they run for rent-wise probably about $1,100 for those. But this is something different, so we wanted to keep this a little bit more in the budget for everybody. So.
How many units are you anticipating that the school district could use for its new staff?
As many as you want.
So and does that matter whether it's a studio or a 1-bedroom? We would
No.
still get the 15%?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But what if we hire 40 new people in 1 year and we want them all there because they're moving from out of state?
It's what we're going to have to do.
You're going to tell ASU, sorry, we don't have room for your students?
It's, like I said, it's open to whoever. That's the thing.
First come, first served is what you're
Exactly,
saying.
yeah. And the way we looked at it, and this is the way that Mayor was looking at it too, is that we're here in front of you guys asking for a trade or to help out. You guys are going to be our first priority, obviously.
So there's no real guarantee that students could even get in there if it was gobbled up by people that are
What's
just
going
moving
on?
into town.
It depends. If he decides to block off so many of them for just students, then he can block off so many for just students. But right now, when a developer puts a place up, his first number one thing is to get the vacancy. He's got to start making those payments. So is what happens. So if the students across needs to get in there, then we're gonna have to figure out what to do. Or we could just go down a little bit further and buy up more land and build another one.
So let's change some language here.
Yes.
Because what this was presented as was dormitories.
Right,
And what we're talking about is apartments.
right.
Yes, yeah,
So-
there are gonna be studio, multi-studios, 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. We wanna give a variety out there.
Okay. And this was also presented as something where you would work with ASU and ASU's financial system in order to fill these. And now I'm hearing that this is going to be an open market, first come, first served apartment complex across from ASU.
Right. Mayor is looking into working with the financial part to see if we can go ahead and accommodate with that for the dormitories. If we do the studio units for the students. But the problem is that ASU cannot, how do I put it? They can't step into this and saying this is part of them because of theirs.
I understand that part.
Right.
But I guess my real question is how much is a dorm room at ASU right now, today?
Dorm rooms actually are very expensive and they include the feeding though too. So I'm not really sure exactly what they are. As I know of, I'm thinking they're like $6,000 to $7,000
Okay.
for the semester. For those.
For a semester or for a year?
No, for a semester. Because you're paying for your stay, you're paying for your electricity, and they're also feeding these kids. I know for a fact when I went, I was paying a lot of money for the dorm rooms.
Things have changed then because I had to
Oh,
buy
I
a
know, I'm
cafeteria
old.
plan.
No. I'm old. I think they doubled in the
ASU
amount.
is between $7,000 and $10,000.
Is it 7?
A
That's what I was
semester?
thinking.
A year,
A year.
yes,
Oh, so it is a year.
yes.
Okay.
That's just room.
Right, okay, got it. So that's not including their meal plan and all that stuff too?
And that's here, that would be here.
That's
No, that's-
ASU,
that's-
Tempe, but they're very
But-
similar.
Yeah.
But that's dollars and cents wise, if we're going to put in basically what looks like a Class A apartment complex and the target is ASU students, that's what we've got to look at is
We
what
gotta be
can you
equal to
accommodate
what-
in the school year and
Yeah.
what is your reasonable expectation? Because honestly, if ASU puts more dormitories in, which it sounds like they have a plan down the road to do that anyway,
Right,
that's kind of your competition point now is ASU directly. And when you start talking about competition, you're talking about, well, if I can put my kid here for 8, or I can do yours for 10, where do I put my kid?
right, right. Now, the only problem with that, with the ASU expanding out to do what they're gonna do, they're gonna be, that's quite some time down the road before they can even open that can of worms and do anything. And who knows if that lot's even gonna be gone. So with their dormitories now, like I said, their hiccup is that first year, some students that come in, that's mandatory for them to stay there. Our second, third, and fourth year, by your third and fourth year, they have to wing them out. They can't, there's nothing you can do about it. You have to let those kids come in. So then that's what opens up our ability where they can do a referral over and say, here, you know, or somebody's gonna see it across the street anyways and want to put their kids there no matter what. So that's where, when he works with this and stuff, he's gonna put a package together when he does it. And then he'll represent it to the parents or whatever happens to put the kids there, and that's what he's gonna do. Right now, this is just getting the baseline of what we wanna do with it. From the business aspect and stuff, that's where they'll step up within the next year and figure that all out.
What I recall, back in October and March, the conversation started as a like exchange. They said there's 2 fairly equal lots. The district had no plans to use that property in the near term, and so the proposal was, can we exchange these 2 lots? And you know, both lots being equal, if they, and I think there was a $50,000 threshold or something came into play.
That's for sale.
Okay, so on an exchange, if they're of equal value and the school district doesn't have any near-term plans for the lot, what difference does it make what a developer wants to do? The school district is still going to have an asset, and if this project goes forward, if the exchange goes forward, the project goes forward, all it's going to do is enhance the value of that school district lot. It's just going to improve its value. So I guess I'm just kind of confused as why isn't the board just looking at taking these two lots, getting valuations on both of them, and doing a swap?
It's a valid question. I'm not sure that we could do either one of the proposals down below the swap itself from what you're bringing. Some of this is an exchange of value for the land that can be construed as a sale. So that's the problem with that.
Right.
From my perspective, how to answer a little bit of your question. We want to improve the community as a process of this swap, and we want to kind of look at this as how do we, as a district, benefit from the swap, I think is where the board as a whole is. I can't speak for the other three members, but my thought process is how do we improve our community, and how do we improve ourselves as a district, and how we operate? What can we do with the land to very selfishly benefit ourselves and our community? Because, you know, we're a board that represents the community and the community's needs, and simply swapping a lot sounds easy enough. But what do we do to improve?
Again, I guess I'm looking at it from a different standpoint. It's just the school district has an asset, and they're looking to exchange it for a like asset. And they have no plans for the current asset right now. So if it's properly zoned and the developer goes, you know, goes through the city and does what they want to do, what's the big deal? I guess that's what I'm looking at is the city's improving all over the place. And no matter what happens, when you put up a 5-story complex, you're going to have people, the same people that don't like the Holiday Inn Express. But if you're properly zoned, you can do that. That's the way things work. So I guess I'm just going back to the basics of, hey, here's an asset, they're equal value, we'll just swap. Done. And you don't have to do anything else with subsidizing or who's going to be there. I'd like to see the lawyers going to write that contract that puts all that into it. So go back to the basics. Hey, you've got a lot here, you got a lot here. You have an appraisal, independent appraisal. They're like value. Swap them.
So, another question back to you. This is going to take 4 lots or 3?
Actually, okay, do you have the lot plot on there? All right, here's your lot plot. The way I told them to go big or go home. So we own 15, 16, and 20. You guys have number 17. So we get the swap. If you guys do the swap, you're gonna wind up getting number 20. We'll have the 17, and then I'm in the process of grabbing this right in here. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 plus a parcel. We might even go after that building on number 19, just because, like I said, go big or go home. If you're gonna build it, build it. You know what I mean? This is gonna be one of the second most amazing building in this town, and when you have people coming down that road, they're gonna love it. I mean, and it's putting more commercial buildings right in our downtown district area, which is also amazing because everybody knows downtown's pretty packed up. So yeah, it'll need about 4.5 lots.
What's the first most amazing building in town?
I would actually have to say down at the bridge area. I really like the London Bridge Resort.
I think the bridge is probably the nicest asset in town. So
The
You
whole
can
area
walk
down
through
there.
the bridge, so it is a building, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Yeah.
All right. Do we have any further questions?
You know, just a comment, I mean, we could hold on to that, but anytime you have development, if people are coming in and they're using the land, it's going to, if we're down there, it's probably, and we trade or swap it or whatever, it's probably over a period of time, once development comes in, it's going to enhance the value of that lot that's traded. And that's my way of thinking. Right now, you know, they can't, because we're sitting right in the middle there, or no, not in the middle, but we're right on the edge of it. They can't do anything with it, so it just sits there and sits there.
Mhm.
And if they can't do any development, then then our lot is probably not going to really get a lot of value, because you have those small, narrow lots down there. So if you can go along with something like this, and it brings up the value of the land over a period of time, and they're talking, like you said, you'd like to have at least, you need 3 and you'd like to have 4.
Yeah, we own 15, 16, 17 is your guys' lot, that's the one we need. 18 and the parcel is the next section that we're grabbing.
Yeah.
So, and I see where you're coming with that. You put this building up here and on your, that lot 20, if you guys trade, yes, you're gonna have a value sitting there. I absolutely agree with you on that.
So what's wrong with 20?
Nothing.
Nothing, they just need.
Number 20
they
we
need
bought
another
for
lot.
the trade. We actually went personally to the person, bought it, so that we had collateral equal value to trade with the school board.
I'm not convinced without change that 20 will develop the way that we're all thinking. 20 sits between Mojave Mental Health and that 2-story building.
Mm-hmm.
And
But if that 2-story building is getting bought out, then you're going to be sitting in between mental health and the new building. Because that's what we're going after next.
I just think it makes us odd man out.
Is there any way you guys can do a gift?
No.
You guys can't gift a lot with it or anything?
No, public money, you can't gift public money.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, you know, John, you mentioned the lots, and again, individually, you know, on the one hand, you could say, well, you can hold the project hostage because they need that lot. But on the other, I'm just saying, on the other hand, if you look at 2 lots and with an independent appraisal, and they have equal value, let's just say $50,000 as an example.
Mm-hmm.
So the school district has a $50,000 asset on Swanson. Whether they have it lot 20 or lot 17, it's still an asset. And the school district has no plans down the road to do anything with a 50-foot lot on Swanson. So to me, it's a pretty basic premise that the school board looks at it and says, hey, there's someone who wants to move forward with a project. That's completely independent of the decision. The decision is, we have 2 lots here, they're equal value, why not swap them? What would the objection be to swapping the lots? Because the school district is still going to have a like valued asset on Swanson.
Well, I understand your perspective, but I'm just going to make my comments on it, and then we can vote if nobody else has comments. But the thing that concerns me is that we only have so much land for our school district.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody else's priorities seem to be more important than the school district, whether it's ASU, or whether it's the city, or whether it's, private business. But we only have this very, these small chunks of land everywhere. And we know it's going to be built up there. So it's not, it wouldn't be responsible for us to not consider how can we benefit from it as a school district, because we're limited. We're not getting any more land, So,
I actually agree with you on that, and that's why that proposal was thrown in there, because I would ask for that anyways.
and that area is going to be built up. That's been part of the plan for a long time, so it's going to become more valuable. I don't know what we do with the 50, how big is it?
50 by 250 in rough numbers.
We could put a garden there. what we could do with it, but when somebody's making a proposal to you, like you have, we've heard proposals, not formal proposals, but we've heard proposals from ASU too. And I think it's important that, we consider how we can benefit from it. But to your point, I don't know how you'd write up an agreement saying that we're going to get these special provisions or benefits or discounts for our teachers.
Right.
I don't know how you write that into a real estate deal.
Actually, what you need to do with that is you would do the actual land swap, and then you're going to put addendum in behind it. It's going to be drawn up by lawyers, and that's between you, the investor, and you guys, so that you are accommodated what was said on paper.
Memorandum of understanding.
Right, and and to John's point, what he had said was this was originally proposed as dormitories. So
Yes.
I'm thinking 300 square foot, 300 square foot, 300 square, I'm thinking 5 floors of 300 square foot dorms, but now it's not that.
No.
And which means that there's going to be less availability for whether it's students, staff from our district, or staff from ASU. And really, it's going to be sucked up by people who want new.
Yeah.
We got California rolling
And I
in every
think-
day and they want new.
I don't see Californians going into rentals like that. They're buying up the houses with RV garages, pretty much. They gotta put somewhere with those
Oh, I
big
see them
boats.
going in everywhere.
They gotta have
Yeah.
somewhere to stay while they build those RV garages.
And here's the reason behind why we decided not to do just studio, multi-studios, is due to the fact that you guys do need places to put your teachers and staffs when they come in. So a 2-bedroom, if you bring a teacher with their family, you can't put them in a studio. You're gonna put them in a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom. And that was the main purpose of us putting at the top floor the 2 bedrooms and the top higher
That
floors.
was part of our conversation.
It is.
It was.
And it was. We were at studios and dormitories, and then that's when Mayor says, you know what, then we'll do 1 or 2 bedrooms to help out, because, like I said, he's not here to take people's money, he's here to try helping out. He wants to put something amazing in the town, and I agree with him. He should.
He's here to make money.
Yeah.
Well, anybody's gonna put something that's gonna make money.
He's a
And that's
developer.
okay.
But,
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing.
But let's say what it is.
see, in mine's my heart and soul into this. It's a different story, because I see it every day. Where, for instance, there is nothing like when you can't put a teacher and they can't buy a house because they haven't been at their job for 2 years, and you gotta go find them a rental, and you can't find them a rental. That breaks you, and then they gotta go stay with their mom. That's heartbreaking. And as an agent, I'm not supposed to get emotionally attached, but you do, and there's nothing we can do about that. So that's why we decided to give that proposal in there too, to help out, because honest to my opinion, I would do trade swap and then ask for that proposal behind it.
So, I got a different idea. If we were to do this with the understanding that in the MOU that the majority of this would be targeted as a dormitory style space or college student apartment space. And we said that Mayor's group would provide substandard, or not substandard, but sub-market rent to Lake Havasu Unified School District staff. That may be a way to do this without making it look like we're receiving a direct benefit to the district.
Correct, okay, I see what you're saying.
But we couldn't put a number to that, we wouldn't quantify that. We could say even special consideration
Right.
type of thing.
And is that gonna be offered to current teachers?
Just staff. It's not going to be new staff, it's not going to be current staff, it's just going to be staff.
So any staff, current, new, whatever.
But realize, market on this, it's a new building. You know, they've already kind of framed something out in what they had laid out here. And if it winds up being that great, that's all going to be on their end, as far as what the deal is, what the limits are. And we put, say, a time frame to it.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming that passes muster with legal, is that something that we could call
Work out, yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, trust me, I'm with you guys on this. I think it's a good place to be able to help out the staff and put people you need to. And if you can figure out how to put it into terms, then yeah.
See, now we've gone to helping current staff, which again, now we're leaving where we started. The purpose was so we had somewhere for new people to come, so that they had, and now if it's gonna be opened up to staff,
Then
and it's
that-
nothing against staff, I'm not trying to come down on staff, I'm just
No.
saying that it just keeps moving what we're talking
Well,
about.
let's move it back to staff, to new staff. I mean,
Well-
that's where we need to go to make it work.
But then it's gonna make existing staff feel like
Right.
they're somehow being slighted,
Right.
and the whole purpose was that when you're coming here new and you don't already have a place to live, it's difficult to find a place, so.
Well, that's the problem.
So have Mayor build some tiny houses and sell those.
But we don't solve it when we open it up to all staff, because then it's
That's what
rented
I
up
was saying.
before
No.
anybody
We
new
need to
comes.
stick with the problem we want to solve,
Right.
which is that.
Right.
Yes, I do.
Right,
Actually,
so
I do.
we don't have that many problems.
Since you brought up this issue of, you know, talking to legal, are we a little premature on this, or should we consult them and see what?
Well, I think what we do is we postpone to December. We put some language in against the legal department for ourselves, and we see what comes out of that. Because if we can work something like this into this, I think we're doing ourselves a favor.
Yeah, I mean, but by that I mean, you know, we've been talking back and forth and this and that, but it just seems to me that they're the ones that would say, hey, yeah, you guys are within your, legally you can do this and whatever, and then we could move on this because.
Right, but we've got to start with this conversation to flesh this out a little bit, and then.
But I agree with Hal, and that is that, you know, that lot sitting down there, you know, and as development, as it goes along, it's going to increase in value or whatever. So I'm not that concerned about whether we own this lot or that lot.
Well, then maybe what we should do is put a motion on the table that we propose to trade the lot. We empower Mr. Murray to work with legal counsel to work out the possibility of a memorandum of understanding for new teacher reduced fee housing.
First
And-
right of refusal to the housing or something.
Right. And
But what if we run into a snag there, and we've already done this? Wouldn't it be better to probably get that opinion and then come back and say, hey, we're ready to move on this?
then we postpone until December, and that's how we would do it. Postponing to date certain.
That's the way.
Because the way this action item reads, it's doing it now.
Well, how does that work with your timeline?
At the end, we're
They've
giving.
got to go through.
Well, we're already a year into it, and I still don't have this lot.
Well,
Our timeline is kind of like really clicking and ticking.
but
so.
in a way, this is sort of a light at the end of the tunnel. We're not out of the tunnel
Right,
yet,
right.
but we're giving you, you know, we're saying we're going to find out if we can do this as a district. And then what we'll do is in December, the board will make a decision. So that's, you know, that's the way I feel. I know
Right.
you put a lot of work into it and stuff
Oh,
like that.
that's-
I just hate to continue
Right.
agonizing over this when if legal says, hey, we can do this, it's a good deal, then in December, we make a decision.
Right.
John, does this additional cost to the district going to legal, or is legal on a retainer that it doesn't cost any extra money?
Legal's a part of the package.
Okay, so it doesn't cost any, okay, good.
Is it, that lot, is it 20, parcel 20, whatever, the exchange lot? Is the district ever in a place where it could build its own building for teachers? Is that something that, ever happens?
Not a lot that size,
Yeah,
No.
not
so
an individual lot.
to answer that, these lots are between 35 to 37 wide,
Right.
but they go back
So it's
pretty
like a
deep.
garage.
It's a
Yeah. It's a railroad car.
it's a one or a two-story,
Right,
75-foot building, 100-foot building deep.
There's 25-foot lots on McCulloch. There are structures on there, but they're very specific. They're very difficult. It's very difficult to put a 25-foot building on.
Where's your where are you at on this map?
I'm right behind the project. I own 2180 McCullough.
Yeah, so,
Okay,
I'm
but
right
that's not
behind you.
identified on here, so you
no,
mean,
there's an alley and behind there, and his building, he's right
Is
in
up
behind
here.
that, yeah. So he's actually on McCullough.
Yep.
so what lots are at the end? Like wherever Pennington's, when that was open? Would that be like above 26? At the top part of 26-ish?
Yeah, let me see really quick. I'm very familiar with
So what lot goes through? Which one goes all the way through? You know what I'm talking about? No, I know, but the one that goes all the way through.
Okay, so that's gonna take you all the way over to, see, 20,
It's on
You're
the
right
other
here.
side of Mojave.
these ones come up where you could drive through. So these two right here, now Mojave Mental Health,
That through lot is on the other side of 50. It's 51B is what it's,
yeah.
Oh, 151B. So this is the through one?
51B
Yeah, it
is the
does like
through.
this little jog thing and then it kicks over. So this is, Mojave Mental Health owns these two. We've already proposed them too, but they're holding on to them for something. I don't know what they're doing. But that would be the drive-through one.
Gotcha.
And then this is another one that drives through and then the parcel, so with the building though, you're gonna have a way to get through too.
Same proximity.
Hey, Joe.
Huh? You guys need a spot?
No.
No.
We'll talk to after the meeting.
Okay.
We have more property for this.
Hey,
The site, the big site spotlight was on, is that wrong?
if it's commercial, I can really look at it.
Oh,
You want to look at this.
Okay, because I have somebody who wants to.
It's 2 blocks away from what you're looking at.
Oh my goodness.
Everybody's.
Go ahead.
While I'm
Pretty.
Lisa Stewart wants to say something.
Sorry, I just wanted to make a note of something. If we decide to go to an MOU or a memorandum of understanding with this, one of the things that I want to make sure that we're mindful of is if we're trying to make sure that we're targeting or trying to accommodate new teachers, what my thought was is that if you're building 300 square foot and 600 square foot apartments or studios,
The studios.
well, so you're saying your 2 bedrooms would be 600 square feet?
No, okay, so
Because
the way that they're laying these out, they're laying these out a little different. Because a studio is a studio,
Okay.
apartment's apartment. So you got 2 bedrooms plus a
So what's
living
your square
area.
footage?
So your square footage on there, and that's the thing though, we're not even at that far, we're just trying to get lost.
So that's my
So-
point, is that if you're gonna target the families, I really
Yes.
want to make sure that we're clear on the amount, both the amount of square footage that you're offering the families that are moving to town, whether it's a single family or a multifamily, because I know what my mortgage is on a 3-bedroom house, and it
Mhm.
sounds like what you're asking for it doesn't sound like it's gonna be comparable for the people who are moving to town, and that's my only concern, is that if
You
we're
have a
trying to
house.
target it, is
Yeah,
it going to be
yeah,
comparable in
that's-
pricing?
Exactly, you own a house, so you are paying insurance and you're paying taxes plus a mortgage. These guys are,
But even when I had
apartment.
rent, it's still more than what I was paying.
yeah, so, and then when you're targeting these too, you gotta do your debt to ratio on them, you're gonna do it just like you're gonna do a mortgage. You want it about a 45% debt to ratio, so you're gonna take their income, divide it in half, and then whatever's out of there, you wanna pull your payment, make sure they can afford it. So if it's $1,000, say you start off at a $30,000 salary, you know, you should be able to afford that, and have a cushion. You should be able to pay a car payment and utilities if you.
You should be able to without student loans. So
Correct.
these are all things that I just want to make sure that we're mindful of if we're targeting teachers,
Yeah.
because you're right.
And that's
you
why-
want to make sure that they can afford what
Right,
you're
and that's why
offering.
with the percentage that we're crediting is also gonna help. To me, that's a perk. I mean, if I'm a teacher looking at something like this and I go to a town that's giving me a certain percentage, that's a perk to me. I'm gonna look at that compared to other cities that are offering this.
But I think the point is that we don't know, there's really two components to pricing property. The first is, you know, project cost and recouping cost versus any outstanding loan, debt, et cetera. You know, does it pencil, as it were?
Right.
The other side to that is what market are you in and what will that market allow for in overall rent? You know, as much as you'd love to go out and buy a $3,000 computer in this day and age, in the land of $300 computers, you're not running out and buying a $3,000 computer anymore.
Yep.
So the market's going to affect this as much as the cost to build the project. So there's a balancing act there, and what would kill a project like this is if you get, you know, the base plans drawn and so forth, and that doesn't find some level of equilibrium between what the market will bear and what the cost of the project is versus what you have to charge for a unit. Project doesn't go. I mean, it's just really simple.
Right.
So it doesn't pencil, doesn't go. So do we want to postpone? Do we want to act? What do we want to do?
I'd rather postpone. Really.
Postpone to December meeting?
Need a motion?
Motion and second. We have a motion on the floor already.
Okay.
Either as
I
Mrs.
would,
Cox made.
I would ask for you to withdraw your motion,
I withdraw my motion.
and we need to withdraw it second. Now I'll entertain a motion. I believe it's for postponement to the December meeting.
So moved.
Second.
So my question is, what happens if he backs out and goes down the road?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Okay, just checking.
Unless he wants to give us a gift, but we can't control that.
Yeah. So we're gonna postpone, when's the next meeting now? The 18th of December?
And
Okay.
recommendation, the 11th, there'll be a work session.
The 11th is a work session.
Work session at 4 p.m.
Okay.
And we can hash a little bit more out. That way we don't do this and
I got everything else for you guys except for a pen. Oh, pen. Thank you. First thing you learn in college is to take your pen. Okay, so December 11th is a work session.
4 o'clock.
And it's here?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I have curly hair. How'd you call me, sir? You've seen me too much.
Looking over at Hal when he said it. That's the problem.
And then the 18th would be the next board.
That's the actual
The vote.
vote.
At 6. Okay, I don't, 6 p.m., okay. That works, all right. And then, yeah, that's right, you call me P, and I'm handing pencil. Okay, so then that would be fine. And then if you need anything from me while you guys are trying to put something together, Mr. Murray knows how to holler at me. I thank you guys for accommodating this and really taking a look at it.
We appreciate you coming. Thank you. Carrie?
Pat Rooney,
Yes.
Yeah, I'm here.
Kathy Cox,
Yes.
Nicole Cohen.
Yes.
John Maston.
Yes.
Okay. No, I'll be-
Item 6.3 is approval of request for proposal for food service management. Mr. Murray.
Mr. President, members of the board, it is recommended the governing board approve the issuance of a request for proposal for a food service management company. A new food service management company contract must be in place effective July 1st, 2019. The Lake Havasu Unified School District Governing Board awarded a food service management company contract that became effective during the 2014-15 school year. That contract was valid for 1 year with 4 one-year renewals. The business office is seeking permission to proceed with the issuance of a request for proposal for a food service management company. The advantage of using competitive sealed proposals includes flexibility in assigning responsibilities, benefits during periods of falling prices, and greater flexibility in selecting a food service management company because the district's not limited to selecting the offerer that submits the lowest price. And in order to hire a food service management company, the school district must go through certain steps. Those steps are listed down below. Step 1 is receiving the actual RFP, which we're scheduled to receive here in just the coming days from the Arizona Department of Ed, and then the other timelines that are noted there. And finally, the selection process at the end. The food service management company must be in place, contract must be in place by July 1st, 2019.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion on 6.3.
I make a motion to approve 6.3.
Second.
Discussion?
Just the RFP,
Just the RFP.
not really a lot to discuss, right? I mean,
Correct. We'll come back before the
Yeah.
board once the selection, with a recommendation.
And if I'm reading this correctly, the Arizona Department of Education is going to hand us the RFP that we will let.
Correct. The basic boilerplate RFP, there may be some slight additions that would be unique to our particular district.
We can add to it, but it will then have to go before ADE to see if our additions, are approved by them.
Just fun.
These tomatoes feel good.
Just to make us feel like we did it right. All right, anything else? Okay.
Kathy Cox?
yes.
Nicole Cohen?
Yes.
Pat Rooney?
Yes.
John Maston?
Yes. Item 6.4 is approval of sole source, Project Wisdom Incorporated. Mr. Gardner?
Mr. President, governing board members, it is recommended the governing board reapprove Project Wisdom Incorporated as a sole source for the proprietary Project Wisdom Incorporated products for all K-12 district schools. Project Wisdom Incorporated is the only authorized dealer to sell or distribute the following products: Project Wisdom Series 1, Series 2, Series 3, Project Wisdom Educator Site 2.0, and beyond the infraction. The governing board approved the purchase of Project Wisdom and approved the sole source affidavit on February 20th, 2018. Because of the delay in full funding, Project Wisdom was not purchased for title schools during the 2017-18 school year. Our purchasing department requires that sole source affidavits be updated annually and will not approve the 2018-19 expenditure for this resource without an updated affidavit. The sole source affidavit was provided by Suzanne Johnson, Vice President and Authorized Agent for Project Wisdom Incorporated on July 6, 2018. This purchase will be funded under Title 4A once approved by the Arizona Department of Education. This item has been reviewed by purchasing.
I will entertain a motion on 6.4.
I move we approve 6.4.
I second.
Discussion?
How much is it? I know it's covered by title funding, but, sorry.
I know the original one was less than 12,000. I'm sorry, I don't remember the actual amount.
But now if it's Title I funding, we
It's
can't.
Title
Title 4.
Oh, it's Title 4, not Title I. But it does say in here that, it just says title schools. Okay, all right, thank you.
Anything else? Terry?
Nicole Cohen?
Yes.
Kathy Cox?
Yes?
Pat Rooney?
Yes.
John Maston?
Yes. Item 6.5, approval of changes to extracurricular, co-curricular enrichment activities for tax credit funds. Mr. Murray and Mr. Becker.
Mr. President, members of the board, it is recommended that the governing board approve the addition of the STEM Club to the tax credit program at Lake Havasu High School. Mr. Becker, principal at Lake Havasu High School, is requesting the addition of the STEM Club to the tax credit program. The purpose of this club is to bring together LHHS students interested in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The club participates each spring in the Arizona State Science Olympiad competition at ASU Tempe. And since 2016, the club has co-hosted with ASU Havasu in the Elementary Science Olympiad competition for 5th and 6th grade students from our 8 local elementary schools. The program sponsors will be Stephanie Chase and Chessa Fry, and upon closure of the program, funds will be transferred to the tax credit all-no preference account.
I'll entertain a motion on 6.5.
I make a motion, we approve 6.5.
I second.
Discussion?
So we've had the club for a long time now, we're just making it tax credit. How were we funding it before, just fundraising?
Yes. Yes, asking those students to go out and fundraise so that they can pay for their bus trip to go compete in the Phoenix area.
Okay. Anything else? Gary?
Pat Rooney,
Yes.
Kathy Cox,
Yes.
Nicole Cohen,
Yes.
John Maston,
Yes. Item 6.6 is approval of vouchers, student activity funds, and auxiliary funds. Mr. Murray.
Mr. President, members of the board, it's recommended that the board approve the vouchers for October 2018 and student activity funds for grades K through 12, as well as auxiliary funds, student activity funds and auxiliary for the month of September 2018.
Can I get a motion on 6.6?
Move we approve 6.6 as presented.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, I will ask Terry to call the vote.
Pat Rooney,
Yes.
Kathy Cox,
Yes.
Nicole Cohen,
Yes.
John Maston,
Yes. Item number 7 are informational items. Superintendent Assad.
I actually have a whole list today. I didn't have Mr. Murray do all the talking tonight. A couple of things. First of all, of course, our gifts and donations. As always, we thank the community for our gifts and donations. $11,600 for just this last month. A total so far this school year of $88,000 in donations is amazing. If you look at the individual donations this month, I did want to point out Starline has been working really hard to put together a playground. Even though eventually that would be provided in the bond, it's quite a timeout, and we do have a lot of needs on their playground, and so we see both large and small donations as whatever people can afford, they're putting toward it, and they're making progress toward their playground, so that's very exciting. Also, K-12 Foundation did provide a $200 each for each of our school STEM clubs for materials and so forth, and they are helping to support the staff who provide that club experience for our students. And then finally, I also wanted to note that we had some musical instruments donated. Nice. And I'm particularly excited to see cello and violins. I'm hoping that some string instruments will be to our middle school, not to our high school, so they'll get started early, but that was exciting to see.
Do they have a strings teacher?
You know, that's a good question. I believe that the teacher can teach strings, but I don't know the answer to that. Someone else nodding out there?
Do they have?
You don't know? Okay.
Do they have an adequate place for storage? And by that, I know a lot of these string instruments we ran into this year's ago at the high school, where they were not stored under, climate control thing, and they just deteriorated. You do?
we do.
Good.
A couple of things, we have, of course, our Thanksgiving, and wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving coming up. However, we also have a very tight timeline because of winter break for things that are happening. Out of a discussion at I think it was at the work session, Mrs. Musselman and Mrs. Cohen, we were talking about our curriculum philosophy, and the fact that we have not had an opportunity to have a real discussion about our philosophy statement. The board adopted a curriculum philosophy statement back in March 13th. Went back and double checked that. And while it's a generic statement, we haven't talked specifically about what that looks like in practice. And so the suggestion that came forward, and I have thought about it and would recommend, is that for those board members who can and are interested in attending, that we schedule an individual curriculum philosophy work session discussion at each school site. So that at that school site, those teachers have an opportunity to have input with the board members who are present, and that it's an actual discussion about philosophy, not a saying we don't like this or we don't like that, but here's where we think we need to go as a district. so that the board has a full understanding of how our teachers are feeling and thinking about the curriculum. Interestingly, and we have other surveys that are happening, our staff are fairly divided on whether we should adopt textbook, whether we should develop our own curriculum. Those are some things that would be good to hear about and get more information about. And so, at the risk of overwhelming our new board members, my suggestion and thought was to get this done in January while it's still meaningful, is to look at the 4 weeks of January, Wednesdays and Thursdays at 3 o'clock, and rotate between the 8 schools so that we have, within 4 weeks, we've had all 8 schools, had an opportunity for people to come to their site and have an hour that we set aside for that discussion. So if you know, I'm sorry, Mr. Rooney, you're going to miss those, but you can come.
I'm just disappointed.
You're invited, Pat.
So if
You'll be an alternate.
If you're open to that idea, I would like to discuss it with the principals at HCM next week, which is why I wanted to bring it up. So,
He's
happy to hear your thoughts on that. A couple of things, as we know, Mr. Rooney's last meeting on the board will be December 18th. And we are personally celebrating with him on December 6th, but on December 18th board meeting, for staff to know that at 5:30 we will have a reception for anybody who would like to join us to celebrate his last board meeting, because I'm sure he wants to celebrate that. And of course, you've been in the district for a long time. I know there's a lot of people who would like to be there to do so. And I would also like to congratulate Mrs. Cohen on her re-election. So, congratulations. Yes, thank you.
I told her I dressed up for her tonight.
And then I would like to also mention, and Mr. Berger's in the audience, and so I want to mention this. Mr. Berger has coordinated for the last few years, and I know the high school staff and the athletic director are involved as well, but we have the Lake Havasu Unified Team, which consists of our students with fairly severe disabilities. And they get to play the staff, and so we do a football game and we do a basketball game, and there may be others that I don't know about. Those are the two that I'm most aware of. And so last week they did have the unified team play, and the unified team, I believe, won.
By 1 point.
By 1 point. And so they do play against the staff. And frankly, I was a little disappointed this year. We didn't have as good of a turnout, and we only had 8 staff members that participated, so it had to be 8-on-8 football instead of 9-on-9. But Mr. Masden participated, and so I wanted to thank Mr. Masden for representing the board, and also share, if you didn't know, that he was the staff representative for the dance-off with Asher Kowali. Mr. Masden does a mean robot. But Asher Kowali did win the dance-off. He was the much better dancer in the long run. So.
And that would be the dance-off straight for the unified team. Is perfect.
It was very nice. So I really do thank our staff that participated, as well as our Mr. Berger for helping to coordinate that, because those kids just love that.
Yeah,
it's very special to them. So
I was really impressed with John's dance moves. I went home and tried it myself, and now I have to go to chiropractor. I'm almost done with my session.
Are you sure that's a chiropractor?
Basically.
I hate to say this, but I missed that email about that event.
Mr. Krieger sent out an everyone email, and I don't know.
I thought it was about the high school, well, the teachers versus the students. That's the one I saw. I didn't. That's the same one that...
It's the teachers versus the unified team, which is actually our students with disabilities.
Oh, so it's changed over the years. It used to be the staff versus students.
Yeah, we're going to have a basketball, 11 of the basketball competition come up. So.
Okay. I told Brady you played in the basketball one.
You'd love to see that.
But it was very nice, and I know he also requested staff volunteers from throughout the district. We actually had, at least I know, one elementary teacher who was there, maybe 2, because Julia and Betsy both played, so that was fun to see. Thanks.
Good.
Okay. That's my update.
You know, since we're recognizing, and a lot of people in our district go out of their way, but our cross-country team from the high school is heading down to the state meet, and what was it, a couple of weeks ago, and the bus broke down on that Vicksburg cutoff. So Brady was really behind the gun, and he, what he did is there's no way they could get a bus down there and still get them in time. And just to tell you how much our staff, and this is just one example, goes out of their way. He got a hold of, I think it was River Valley or one of the schools that was also going down there. And they went ahead and picked up our kids, and I guess they got there just in time to compete. And so I was real impressed when I heard that, because a lot of times people are not willing to just go that extra mile, but our staff and our schools are willing to go ahead and look for ways to solve problems, and that's just one good example. Made me feel so good when I heard that.
And thank you for bringing that up. And I also sent an email to thank the superintendent, because they took the risk of being late with their own teams for picking us up, and that was wonderful.
It's funny, my husband ran into that broken bus in Vicksburg when he was bringing our grandson back from Phoenix.
Oh, wow.
He came home and he was like, "You have a bus broke down." I'm glad they made it.
No.
No.
Mr. Becker?
Yes, sir.
So Brady deserves a lot of credit as well, but I think that extends with his leadership and with Rogers, who originally brought Pursuing Victory with Honor to our district, and the way that our coaches and our athletes handle themselves outside of the setting of Lake Havasu High School and going on the road and competing against these people. If we had bad blood and we did not pursue Victory with Honor, those schools in the surrounding area could very well told us, no, we're not picking you up because of the last time we competed against you, the way your athletes acted, the way your coaches handled themselves. So that goes to our entire sports program at the high school, and obviously, like I said, Brady's in charge of that and does a great job, and Roger was the original person to bring that program to our school. So it's been alive for a long time, and Brady's doing a great job of continuing to foster that, but it has to go out to our athletes and our coaches for that too.
Well said, Mr. Becker, and thank you to Mr. Berger, because what you said is you've created a legacy, and it's lasted beyond your years.
Thank you very much for that, but it's a nice to be part of it.
It's very true.
If it gets too big, just throw chicken on yourself.
How about a turkey?
All right. Anything else for the good of the cause? Our next regular meeting will be Tuesday, December 18th at 6 p.m. Work session a week ahead of that on the 11th. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Kathy Cox?
Yes.
Nicole Cohen?
No.
Pat Rudy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Yes. Adjourn.
Oh, boy.